Hello and thanks for checking out ChartGuys.com. We're proud to be one of the most successful technical analysis communities online, teaching you the skills to become a more confident, effective, and informed trader. Join our community of hundreds of analysts worldwide working together to learn the charts, generate profit, and achieve financial independence. For access to daily live chart analysis and market coverage, a thriving chat community, along with dozens of hours of exclusive educational materials. We look forward to seeing you. Let's check out some charts. Hey everyone, checking in on SPY, IWM, QQQ, and the different sectors of the market. So we had a very interesting day today, FOMC day. We certainly started strong on the back of Apple earnings, and then we saw a bearish reaction to the FOMC. So we had a new all-time high, but we also had the weakest day that we've seen in a couple weeks at this point. So we know there's a couple things that we're looking for to line up to potentially lead to a loss of the S&P 500 daily uptrend, which means weekly consolidation. Those being oil, if oil confirms the daily downtrend with a lower low, the healthcare sector, if we form our lower high and look to form that daily equilibrium we've been keeping an eye on, those are both factors that could contribute to further market consolidation. So we know that when we do consolidate, we are going to be looking for a healthy higher low on the weekly time frame to form. What would change that would be significant bearish volume. We did have more than the 20-day average volume day today, but that is certainly to be anticipated with the FOMC. So I need to see proof, right? We're in an uptrend. The burden of proof is on the bears. So the bears have to show us multiple days of follow through to the downside. We need to see high bear volume. Otherwise, we're just looking for a weekly higher low. And anything on the weekly time frame over 277.64 is that higher low. So we got a signal today, short term, that maybe it's a good idea to start hedging longer term positions. Maybe it's a good idea to start trimming those longer term positions. We know we're very overextended, and we certainly want to take some risk off when we see a day like today. But we have to keep the longer term perspective in mind, and the weekly chart is an uptrend, and I would be very surprised if we would lose the weekly uptrend on any kind of pullback in the near term. Again, it would have to be accompanied by major bear volume. So we're going to be heading into tomorrow in oversold conditions. Potentially a little bear flag bounce occurring after hours right now. We'll have to see where we start the morning, but we will anticipate an hourly lower high is going to form on this oversold bounce because of how significant the pullback was from the high today. And we did have a double top at that all-time high. It was up at 294.92 and 294.95. We also have a double top or a triple top on QQQ to look at. We'll start with IWM first. So IWM did not change the hourly trend to give us the indication that our daily higher low had been established. We saw the low of yesterday, the bounce, and then we pulled back this morning and we're unable to get that follow through. So the daily chart is still trying to form a higher low compared to 155.47. And if we lose that and break that support level, we're looking at weekly consolidation, a much more contained range. When we look at SPY and QQQ on the weekly, they've been pretty overextended. Not so much the case for IWM. So QQQ, here's that triple top at all-time highs, 191.22, 32, and 32. So if we cannot break that triple top, then that is, well, it's a clear resistance level that we're going to see used as a stop level for shorts. So we can potentially top fish that level. The bears want to see a break of 188.21 to lose the daily uptrend. And then we're looking down at weekly consolidation. Again, extended the last 5 weeks, absolutely, but we are just looking for a weekly higher low compared to 176.60. The S&P 500 has about 4% to go before we lose the weekly uptrend, and QQQ here has about 6% to go before we lose that uptrend. XLF pulling back today, not even close to breaking the daily uptrend because we had been so strong. So a bearish reaction to the FOMC, but we do have anything above 27.20 giving us a daily higher low. So if we see another big bear volume day and another big red Marubozu candlestick, it will be very notable. But if not, it's just going to be business as usual, looking to maintain the daily uptrend for the financial sector. And as we know, if the S&P 500 is going to see significant weakness, we have to see the tech sector and the financial sector going down at the same time. If one's going down and one is holding up well, we can see weakness in the S&P 500, but it's not going to be any kind of massive dump that a lot of people are looking for. The biotech sector, XBI, has shown us it is weak comparative to the healthcare sector the last 3 days, and it's continuing to follow through. It's a weekly bear flag at this point. The daily support was broken. We've gotten follow through today. Only support is 82.43 from here. So that's the key level to be watching. And if we break that, it's the weekly chart dropping the lower lows, and we would then be looking down at 78.60 on the weekly as the next support level from here. That has some downside weight on the market, but not as much as the healthcare sector. Again, we're still watching the healthcare sector for this daily lower high, and it hasn't formed yet. We keep forming a higher low each day the last few days. If we see a bear break of 88.60 and 88.48 tomorrow, then our daily lower high will be set, and we'll be looking for the pullback for a higher low. But in that scenario, because the healthcare sector holdings are so high in the S&P 500, specifically in SPY, that would lead to potential further downside in SPY. And that's the kind of scenario where if oil loses the uptrend, if XLV forms this lower high, that's the downward pressure on SPY that the bears are going to be hoping for. So on the VIX here, we've been drawing this falling wedge pattern, and we did finally close above it. And we have been making note how the bulls have held up just fine over the last few days while SPY has made its move higher. So we were watching this falling wedge pattern here, and there's our bull break, and now we're looking up at 1790 as the next major resistance level. We can see that most of the breaks that we've had after a big candlestick like this, we don't get a ton of follow through. We see some little candlesticks leading up into one big push, but on this entire move, we have not seen two solid green days. So that's what I keep saying about it's time for the bears to prove it to us, show us the volume, get the significant follow through. If we get another big green day on the VIX, that will be the first time since this top back in December. We certainly remember that, but that would be the first time that we get two solid days back to back, and it would stand out to us. Oil. So oil is tightening up, and we're watching for the potential of the confirmation of the downtrend on the daily time frame. We have our low, high of the bull move, and the bulls are attempting a higher low here, but if we drop below 62.26, the daily chart is now in a downtrend. We would zoom out to the weekly, knowing that on the weekly chart, anything above 54.50 maintains the uptrend, and the bulls do have a lot of space to work with. Percentage-wise, we're talking 13% pullback before we lose the weekly uptrend. So no major red flags. Again, that's why we're going to assume this is weekly consolidation to form higher lows in the uptrends. The only thing that will sway my decision is volume. Natural gas, still trying to continue its bounce. We did establish a little support level here at 2531, but there's no indication that the top of this bounce is set just yet. Bulls have done a good job of holding on the last few days. And on the 4-hour chart here, I'm watching the 4-hour trend as the most clear, 2515, a higher low at 2531, and as long as we hold that uptrend, the top of the bounce has not been set yet. Lose that 4-hour uptrend, and the daily chart needs to pull back and form a higher low. So that's what we're watching for in the market. Volume is going to be key. Can the bears show up with volume tomorrow? That's going to be notable. Again, this is where we're enacting a game plan. So I've been having my concrete rule of thumb, no going bearish as long as the daily chart's in an uptrend. So now that the daily chart is potentially losing that uptrend, I can start to look for potential bearish entries. Maybe if we see an hourly bounce to cool off RSI levels tomorrow and look for an hourly lower high to form, that may be an entry point to be looking bearish. And then it's just top fishing the all-time high. It's nice to have a clear resistance level to play off of and have our line in the sand of where we will give up being shorts if that is the case. And again, hedging longer term positions, never a bad idea after seeing the move that we've seen in the last 4.5 months from the December lows. Not a bad idea to protect. I appreciate you watching. We'll check back in. Do good things out there in the world. We'll see you tomorrow. Alright, so here's the game plan of the yard. We've got a bunch of pots going. I've never really grown in pots, but space is limited. So we got some potatoes going in the pots. Got some peppers. I'm going to do some winter squash. That's some butternut squash in a pot. And I'm trying to have this whole deck trellised with a bunch of green stuff soon. We're going to put basil and other herbs in those two little boxes. And I've got a bunch of snap peas that are starting to grow up. So I'm going to trellis these bad boys up here and then run them up the deck. Bunch of tomatoes as the deck gets the best sunlight. And cucumbers that I'm going to have climb up the side of the house as well. Got more peas. So these are all peas in there and peas in here, and you can literally watch them grow over a couple hours. Got some winter peas growing up the side of this house. And got some nasturtium that's going to climb. And we'll see. It's an experiment. But hopefully over the next couple of weeks, this will all be covered in green. There's a pretty flower. And put a whole bunch of, there's garlic. But a whole bunch of, these are all wildflowers. So this is just the compost pile. And figured I'd throw a bunch of wildflower seeds on them. You just gotta water them once every morning. So we're gonna have a bunch of seeds. And these are some wild potatoes from the compost that just grew on their own. Extra eggplant I threw in there. So that's the layout. And now we'll check the progress once a week.